Alright, I'm going to do a quick do-it-yourself on how to fix these little adjusters if maybe someone in the back knocks them off, busts them off. If they're not broke, what happened is mine got blown off and the other piece that holds it on is kind of stuck in the back, so you can't get to it. You can't like put it back together like out here. So the only way is to take this off. And you slide your armrest forward. I forgot to mention this is on a Mark 7. All-track, GTI, Golf. So now you got to pull this off. You can kind of see it's kind of goes like that. And it just takes a little pop. And once you get it moved, you should be able to like kind of pry it and it pops off. And there's a couple little clips and you'll realize, oh man, I can't get to it because this is glued together. It's like plastic welded. I've already had mine apart and I hot glued it back together. So I'm going to take it back apart and show you how to fix that. And it'll probably save you some money and you won't get all bummed out thinking that your Mark 7's all jankied up. Okay, once you get it out, put it on a nice little surface, and from the factory welds on here are real easy to break off, and you're not going to break it. You could use a little tool and kind of pry underneath it and you'll pop them off. I mean, they're welded on, so technically you are kind of breaking it, but you're going to be re-gluing it, and I mean, as you saw before, the way it was, you can't tell. I mean, they glue them from the factory technically, so once you get that off, you will be left with this, and you're like, damn, I still can't get to it. So you need some type of pry tool to pry the vent portion out, and once you get that out, you'll be able to retrieve the piece that's in there, because most likely it either fell down into your vent or it's stuck in here. If it fell in your vent, good luck. But I will show you how this comes apart, because that's the piece that's going to be left in there or down in your vent. And this comes apart pretty easy. I mean, they bust off pretty easy. I'm not going to be able to do it on camera with one hand, so I'm just going to put the camera down and bust it off. Okay, so it pops off, and it goes a certain way. The little notch there, that's going to be on the bottom. Note how the vent sits. It sits in there like that. It's kind of tapered towards the top. So this little notch is going to be on the bottom, and it sits in the middle slot. You can see on the vent there's little grooves. So you can see this little piece here has a little notch, so it sits on the bottom, and it rides right in there. So that's how that goes. That's how that works. Now, whenever mine snapped off, this thing went flying onto the floor, and this piece was kind of just left in there. So luckily, it didn't make its way down into the vent. So this is where you're at now. You retrieved all the pieces, and you got to put it back together. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put it back together. Okay, so we're going to put it back together. So take your vent, orient it the correct way, put that little piece notched down, flip it over, take this little piece, match the notch up, and you can start one end. There's little tabs that you got to kind of pop in place, and that's it. Pops in. See, little slidey action. So now you can put your vent in, line it up, and snaps back in place. So now you fixed your vent. So now you either hot glue it back together, which hot glue works pretty good because if it happens again, you take rubbing alcohol and a cotton swab and it'll let this hot glue lift completely clean off. I didn't do it real quick because I was trying to just make this video real quick. So we'll put it back together. And you can see once it's glued back on, you're never going to be able to tell that it was hot glued together unless you get glue spider webs all inside there and it's a mess. But the backside can look messy, no one's ever going to see it. So you got to have a hot glue gun, and that's what we're going to grab next, and we're just going to hot glue the hell out of it. I got my nice hot glue gun. I'm going to just put a glob here, glob right here, glob down in there, right there, in this corner, we'll do that corner. We're getting the spider webs everywhere, do that corner, that tab, and try not to get the spider webs on your little knob piece. Once you get it hot glued, just press and hold it for a while until it dries. And then once it's dry, we'll reinstall it. Okay, once it's dry, now you're going to want to reinstall it. Just put it up in the top. I mean, it kind of only goes back in one way. And then you just got to kind of feed the vent portion in. That's probably the trickiest part, but it'll kind of go in itself. I apologize for the camera angle. And then you push it back.